Onions are the one vegetable that we seem to take for granted. Usually in stock, relatively inexpensive, and they always appear to be in season. One would think that there's not much to make a fuss about. In the world of growing your own though, onions are a bit of an enigma. Easy to sprout and quick to grow, yes, but getting reliable bulbs come harvest time can prove to be a bit of a challenge. It doesn't have to be that way though, because once you get onions down, they actually become pretty formulaic, if not completely straightforward. So today, I've got 8 tips to help us get to that onion nirvana. 8 things that we can do at planting time to ensure that this is our best onion year yet. Part of the reason that onions seem so temperamental when it comes to actually bulbing up has to do with the slight variations in requirements for each type. This isn't the case with things such as these tomatoes here. Other than the different sizes they grow to, they all require pretty much the same parameters from us to be successful. Not so with onions. This crop is unique in that every onion variety out there falls into 3 different categories, and the category of onion that you need to grow all depends on where you live. This is because all onions need a specific number of hours to trigger that bulbing process, and every type of onion needs a different amount of hours to do it. Onion types are split up into this daylight requirement, like we said before, into 3 different categories. Long day onions, which need exposure of 14 to 16 hours a day of light to start bulbing up. Short days, which require only 10 to 12, and the intermediates, which are obviously in between. Growers that are closer to the equator tend to grow the short day types, and they can plant pretty much year-round as their daylight cycles tend to stay pretty even. Further away, say for a northern grower like me, well, we need to use the long day types, and we almost always plant in the spring. The constant increase in day length at this time of the year leading up to our summer solstice is what's going to trigger the onions to bulb up. Variety and where in the world you're growing. It's important. Next to variety is timing. If increasing day length is necessary for the bulbs to form, then when we start is highly important to the process. Planting in the spring allows long day types to go from 10 hours a day early on all the way to the summer solstice and the longest days of the year. Having your onions well started and growing in the ground at this point is pretty much the only way to guarantee bulbs. It should be noted that there's actually 3 different ways to start onions: direct seeding, onion sets, and of course the way we're doing it here today, from pre-started seedlings or plugs. Pre-started plants is by far the superior method, and after years and years of growing onions, it's the only way that I plant them now. Just be aware that it's not the only way. And with that, we have the age and size of our young plants to look at. This one does offer us a fair bit of leeway because onions grow so dang fast. They should be at least 6 weeks past the date of their germination, but not so old that you run the risk of stunting them. Basically, once they have 4 to 5 nice green leaves, and more importantly, a well-established root system, they're good to go. Before we can plant though, regardless if you have store-bought seedlings or homemade plugs, you might find that your onions are getting a little top-heavy. Right now is when we trim them. Some growers suggest trimming the plants to a height of no more than 4 inches. Personally though, I find this to be quite harsh. New onion leaves, as it is with all alliums, grow out of the center, and cutting them down at 4 inches runs the risk of cutting off the new growth. 6 to 8 inches high is much more reasonable in my opinion, but again, your mileage may vary due to plant variety as well as age. Okay, the moment of truth. It's finally time to plant. Almost. Like any other crop, we want to set up our onions for the most success. And planting well-started seedlings well into the warmth of the season means warmer and quite likely drier soil. We've got to soak the area first before we can plant. Let's go ahead and really soak that soil well and good to give our onions the best chance. Pots and containers as well. Give that soil a chance to soak up as much moisture as it possibly can so that those onion roots can hit the ground running and never miss a beat. For the exact depth of planting, this one is super easy. Because the plants themselves tell us the exact depth they want to be planted at. And that depth is the one they're currently growing at. Simply plant your onion seedlings and plugs to their existing depth. Easy peasy. Before we get too far though, we need to talk about our 7th tip, and that's spacing. Most varieties of onions need at least 6 inches of space between each other for their bulbs to reach their maximum size. It is variety dependent, and most certainly you can get away with 3 to 4 inches for the smaller onion types, but for regular onion bulb varieties, aim for 6 inches. Give them that space to grow their best. Same thing with your pots and containers. The spacing rules still apply no matter where you're growing your onions. Okay, the onions are finally planted either in the ground, in pots or containers, or in our raised beds. We've only got one thing left to do, and that's to mulch. Onions grow right at the surface, much like garlic does, and below that, the bulbs do send out an extensive network of roots. However, they mostly grow laterally, and they don't send out any kind of a taproot. This means that while they do go searching for moisture, they don't look very deep. Mulch is going to eliminate excessive evaporation and make our waterings more effective and last longer. This alone could prevent periods of drought as well as subpar results. The first thing an onion does when there's moisture issues is to tap into that bulb for some water just to keep the plant alive. Leaves, grass clippings, or straw. It doesn't really matter what you use. Lay it on 2 to 4 inches thick and watch your onions flourish. If you want those biggie harvests, then you gotta mulch. And just like you gotta mulch, we gotta recap. Here's a quick one covering all 8 tips from today's video. Onions are an undemanding and easy crop to grow, but only after you get their planting needs down. After you've mulched them, give your onions one more good soaking and start your feeding schedule in about 1 to 2 weeks. Just remember to always stop fertilizing your onions about 3 weeks before the intended harvest. Hopefully these 8 tips get you to the top of the onion mountain this summer. As always though guys, happy growing, and I'll see you in the next one.